let's jump into this. Ladies and gentlemen, Damion Schubert.
Hello.
Hello.
So, do you think the gap between casual and dedicated crafters will be smaller than in other MMOs? Can you tell us how they are rewarded, the dedicated ones, I mean?
Do we think that the gap between the casual and the hardcore crafters will be small in other MMOs? I think that we're going to strive to find a good balance. I mean, we actually have people on our team who come from making the crafting games, and while we're not the full-on crafting game, that's not really what the mission statement of this game was. We also know what a crafting game can add, and what hardcore dedicated crafters can actually add to your community. So I would say the opposite. We've tried to make it so that hardcore crafters do bring something to the server that they're on that casual crafters can't. What we want is the casual crafter is mostly interested in crafting for himself and crafting for his companion characters, but other than that, he's not really doing much other than that. And the dedicated crafters, they have access through special means we haven't talked about yet in order to pursue recipes that are very rare on their entire server. We actually think it's good and exciting and interesting to be the only guy on a shard that can make these kind of pans. One of the things that's always bothered me about a lot of the games is that crafters tend to become guild pets, right? And that was certainly the case for me in several of the games I've played, is once you've had your blacksmith inside of your guild and he can make everything, nobody bothered to even get him resources or give him money for his trouble, because he could make everything that every other blacksmith on the server could make. We really wanted it so that crafters were good enough that you would break your guild boundaries in order to get what you wanted from time to time.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kathy from Carillion Run Radio.
All right.
I'm very short. I have a question about gear. I hope that you can answer this. We've heard that, gear, dark points could affect, if you have a dark side character, there's certain gear that you might be able to wear, or a light side character, there might be gear that you can wear. I'm concerned about the neutral character. Is this a question for you? Is there going to be is there an advantage or a disadvantage to maybe not playing dark, hard, light?
I'm thinking about what I can say.
Okay.
So the long and the short of it is that we haven't talked a lot about dark side, light side rewards yet, because that is something that we're still iterating on in every single playtest that we do. What we did in this current playtest is different than what's in the last playtest. In the playtest right now, we do have dark side and light side armor that you can get both through drops and from a vendor. We have plans at some point to also bring in rewards for being gray, but it will be pretty strictly gray, which is to say it will be better to be pure gray than it will be to be light side 2 versus, light side 5 is maxed out light side, for example. So basically, you're going to have to choose one of the three if you want access to these gear spigots and or whatever other benefits that we give you. That being said, right now, the gray stuff isn't done in the beta, and we're looking to get it in. It'll probably get in, but...
Okay, good, great. Thank you very much.
Hi. Flashpoints will be redoable. Do they reset completely? And will it be possible to sort of farming of light and dark side points if you redo the flashpoint?
The question is, will flashpoints be redoable? And can you use those in order to farm for rewards like light side, dark side?
Yeah.
The answer to question A is probably, and the answer to question B is probably. The interesting thing about our game in terms of the light side, dark side stuff in particular is we have to have a lot more give in our light side, dark side system than a Mass Effect or a Knights of the Old Republic, because we don't have a reload button, right? We don't have the, oh crap, I accidentally got dark side my whole character's destroyed through this game. And we have a much longer game path than these single-player games do as well. So while we try to make sure that these moments in conversation, they feel big, they feel epic, you actually, I don't know if any of you guys have seen it, your whole screen goes red when you make a dark side decision, so it feels like you have an impact. It's really important that we give you ways to correct those decisions, and the flashpoints is one way that happens, and the missions, in particular diplomacy, is the fastest way in the beta right now, is the other way to sort of correct those decisions and pursue what you want. And it seems to be playing pretty well. One of the things that I will say that is a surprise is that it is really cool and a lot of fun, and it's not something we were expecting, to play with people who are of the other side. So, I'm currently a dark side Jedi Knight running with 2 light sides in the beta right now, and every conversation is much more interesting than last time when we were all playing the same side, because it's all like, oh yeah, we're going to kill the babies, we're going to, and then we do it, but they get to see the other side, especially when it's replayable, right? And so they get to see all of the content, and that's very exciting and interesting to them as well. It plays really good. It's a lot of fun.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, Dover from Darth Hater. We know that companions are going to be an integral part of the crew skill system. We also know that there's an affection rating that goes along with companions. You're like an affinity between the companions and the character. How is that, or can you tell us how that is currently affecting crew skills in regards to them doing their missions or their crafting?
It's a relatively minor thing. And I can explain why philosophically in a second. The second thing is what it affects. Again, this is in the build right now. We're still iterating on it. It affects fairly minorly the chance that you get a critical success on your missions and or your crafting. And it also affects more dramatically the time it takes to do that task. I mean, we try to do fairly significant times for our crafting stuff. It was one of the things that we thought it makes the system feel a lot more cool and tangible to actually, at the high end, you're sending them off for hours or days to make those really top end things. And sending off somebody of good affection will cut that down somewhat. Now, the problem is that you're earning affection better and faster with the person that you're adventuring with the most, right? Because they're actually there for the decisions that you're making. And as a general rule, the person that you're taking out with you the most is the guy that you like for whatever reason. He's either the most entertaining in story, or he's the best fit for how you want to play the game from a combat point of view. So we didn't want this to be like too overwhelming an advantage, and so it really is kind of a flavor thing right now. We might continue to tweak that, and it is actually something we might change the math on once the game has shipped and you have multiple companions at that stage. We do have other ways to increase affection other than conversation. We do have gifts in the game, much like Dragon Age gifts. They are being sure that you can't just use the gift system to completely bypass the conversation system is actually an interesting design challenge, but we have some ways to do that as well.
Awesome. Thanks.
No problem.
David from Tor Wars. Pretty simple question. Hopefully you can answer. We wanted to know if you're going to have multiplayer cantina games such as Pazak or Sabak or something like Swoop Racing. That hopefully it won't be just a yes or no. But, or is there something you can tell us about sort of fun games you're playing on the side in the cantina with cards? And
I have next to my desk what I call the wall of crazy.
Okay.
And being the lead system designer, it is basically the backlog of features that we would like to put in before ship, shortly after ship, in the patch process, in the expansion pack, trying to figure out when and where we slot those in. I will tell you that everything you just said is on the wall of crazy.